Chapter 20. In Sioux Falls, Therese stopped the car in front of the hotel they had stayed in before, the Warrior Hotel. It was 9:30 in the evening. Carol had got home about an hour ago, Therese thought. She was to call Carol at midnight. She took a room, had her bags carried up, then went out for a walk through the main street. There was a movie house, and it occurred to her she had never seen a movie with Carol. She went in, but she was in no mood to follow the picture, even though there was a woman in it whose voice was a little like Carol's, not at all like the flat, nasal voices she heard all around her. She thought of Carol over 1,000 miles away now, thought of sleeping alone tonight, and she got up and wandered out on the street again. There was the drugstore, where Carol had bought paper tissues and toothpaste one morning, and the corner where Carol had looked up and read the street names, 5th and Nebraska Streets. She bought a pack of cigarettes at the same drugstore, walked back to the hotel, and sat in the lobby, smoking, savoring the first cigarette since she had left Carol, savoring the forgotten state of being alone. It was only a physical state. She really did not feel at all alone. She read some newspapers for a while, then took the letters from Danny and Phil that had come in the last days at Colorado Springs out of her handbag and glanced over them. "I saw Richard 2 nights ago in the Palermo all by himself," Phil's letter said. "I asked about you, and he said he wasn't writing to you. I gather there has been a small rupture, but I didn't press for information. He was in no mood for talking. And we are not too chummy lately, as you know. Have been talking you up to an angel named Francis Puckett, who will put up 50,000 if a certain play from France comes over in April. Shall keep you posted, as there is not even a producer yet. Danny sends his love, I am sure. He is leaving soon for somewhere, probably. He has that look, and I'll have to scout for new winter quarters or find a roommate. Did you get the clippings I sent you on Small Rain?" Danny's short letter was, "Dear Therese, there is a possibility I may go out to the coast at the end of the month to take a job in California. I must decide between this, a lab job, and an offer in a commercial chemical place in Maryland. But if I could see you in Colorado, or anywhere else for a while, I would leave a little early. Shall probably take the California job as I think it has better prospects. So would you let me know where you'll be? It doesn't matter. There are a lot of ways of getting to California. If your friend wouldn't mind, it would be nice to spend a few days with you somewhere. I'll be in New York until the 28th of February, anyway." She had not yet answered him. She would send him an address tomorrow as soon as she found a room somewhere in the town. But as to the next destination, she would have to talk to Carol about that. And when would Carol be able to say? She wondered what Carol might already have found tonight in New Jersey, and Therese's courage sank dismally. She reached for a newspaper and looked at the date. February 15th, 29 days since she had left New York with Carol. Could it be so few days? Upstairs in her room, she put the call through to Carol and bathed and got into pajamas. Then the telephone rang. "Hello?" Carol said, as if she had been waiting a long while. "What's the name of that hotel?" "The Warrior, but I'm not going to stay here. You didn't pick up any strangers on the road, did you?" Therese laughed. Carol's slow voice went through her as if she touched her. "What's the news?" Therese asked. "Tonight? Nothing. The house is freezing and Florence can't get here till day after tomorrow. Abby's here. Do you want to say hello to her? Not right there with you." "No. Upstairs in the green room, with the door shut. I don't really want to talk to her now." Carol wanted to know everything she had done, how the roads were, and whether she had on the yellow pajamas or the blue ones. "I'll have a hard time getting to sleep tonight without you." "Yes." Immediately, out of nowhere, Therese felt tears pressing behind her eyes. "Can't you say anything but yes? I love you." Carol whistled. Then silence. "Abby got the check, darling, but no letter. She missed my wire, but there isn't any letter anyway." "Did you find the book?" "We found the book, but there's nothing in it." Therese wondered if the letter could be in her own apartment after all. But she had a picture of the letter in the book, marking a place. "Do you think anybody's been through the house?" "No, I can tell by various things. Don't worry about that. Will you?" A moment later, Therese slid down into bed and pulled her light out. Carol had asked her to call tomorrow night, too. For a while the sound of Carol's voice was in her ears. Then a melancholy began to seep into her. She lay on her back with her arms straight at her sides, with a sense of empty space all around her, as if she were laid out ready for the grave, and then she fell asleep. The next morning, Therese found a room she liked in a house on one of the streets that ran uphill, a large front room with a bay window full of plants and white curtains. There was a 4-poster bed and an oval hooked rug on the floor. The woman said it was $7 a week, but Therese said she was not sure if she would be here a week, so she had better take it by the day. "That'll be the same thing," the woman said. "Where are you from?" "New York." "Are you going to live here?" "No, I'm just waiting for a friend to join me." "Man or a woman?" Therese smiled. "A woman," she said. "Is there any space in those garages in back? I've got a car with me." The woman said there were 2 garages empty, and that she didn't charge for the garages if people lived here. She was not old, but she stooped a little and her figure was frail. Her name was Mrs. Elizabeth Cooper. She had been keeping roomers for 15 years, she said, and 2 of the 3 she had started with were still here. The same day she made the acquaintance of Dutch Huber and his wife, who ran the diner near the public library. He was a skinny man of about 50, with small, curious blue eyes. His wife Edna was fat, and did the cooking, and talked a great deal less than he. Dutch had worked in New York for a while, years ago. He asked her questions about sections of the city she happened not to know at all, while she mentioned places Dutch had never heard of, or had forgotten, and somehow the slow, dragging conversation made them both laugh. Dutch asked her if she would like to go with him and his wife to the motorcycle races that were to be held a few miles out of town on Saturday, and Therese said yes. She bought cardboard and glue, and worked on the first of the models she meant to show Harkavy when she got back to New York. She had it nearly done when she went out at 11:30 to call Carol from the Warrior. Carol was not in, and no one answered. Therese tried until 1 o'clock, then went back to Mrs. Cooper's house. Therese reached her the next morning around 10:30. Carol said she had talked over everything with her lawyer the day before, but there was nothing she or her lawyer could do until they knew Harge's next move. Carol was a little short with her because she had a luncheon appointment in New York and a letter to write first. She seemed anxious for the first time about what Harge was doing. She had tried to call him twice without being able to reach him. But it was her brusqueness that disturbed Therese most of all. "You haven't changed your mind about anything?" Therese said. "Of course not, darling. I'm giving a party tomorrow night." "I'll miss you." Therese tripped on the hotel threshold as she went out, and she felt the first hollow wave of loneliness break over her. What would she be doing tomorrow night? Reading in the library until it closed at 9, working on another set. She went over the names of the people Carol had said were coming to the party: Max and Clara Tibbet, the couple who had a greenhouse on some highway near Carol's house and whom Therese had met once, Carol's friend Tessie she had never met, and Stanley McVee, the man Carol had been with the evening they went to Chinatown. Carol hadn't mentioned Abby, and Carol hadn't said to call tomorrow. She walked on, and the last moment she had seen Carol came back, as if it were happening in front of her eyes again. Carol waving from the door of the plane at the Des Moines airport. Carol already small and far away, because Therese had had to stand back of the wire fence across the field. The ramp had been moved away, but Therese had thought there were still a few seconds of time before they closed the door, and then Carol had appeared again, just long enough to stand still in the doorway for a second, to find her again and make the gesture of blowing her a kiss. But it meant an absurd lot that she had come back. Therese drove out to the motorcycle races on Saturday and took Dutch and Edna with her because Carol's car was bigger. Afterwards, they invited her to supper at their house, but she did not accept. There hadn't been a letter from Carol that day, and she had expected a note at least. Sunday depressed her, and even the drive she took up the Big Sioux River to Dell Rapids in the afternoon did not change the scene inside her mind. Monday morning, she sat in the library reading plays. Then around 2, when the noonday rush was slacking off in Dutch's diner, she went in and had some tea and talked with Dutch while she played the songs on the jukebox that she and Carol had used to play. She had told Dutch that the car belonged to the friend for whom she was waiting. And gradually, Dutch's intermittent questions led her to tell him that Carol lived in New Jersey, that she would probably fly out, that Carol wanted to go to New Mexico. "Carol does?" Dutch said, turning to her as he polished a glass. Then a strange resentment rose in Therese because he had said her name, and she made a resolution not to speak of Carol again at all, not to anyone in the city. Tuesday the letter came from Carol, nothing but a short note, but it said Fred was more optimistic about everything, and it looked as if there would be nothing but the divorce to worry about, and she could probably leave the 24th of February. Therese began to smile as she read it. She wanted to go out and celebrate with someone, but there was no one, so there was nothing to do but take a walk, have a lonely drink at the bar of the Warrior, and think of Carol 5 days away. There was no one she would have wanted to be with, except perhaps Danny, or Stella Overton. Stella was jolly, and though she couldn't have told Stella anything about Carol, whom could she tell? It would have been good to see her now. She had meant to write Stella a card days ago, but she hadn't yet. She wrote to Carol late that night. "The news is wonderful. I celebrated with a single daiquiri at the Warrior. Not that I am conservative, but did you know that 1 drink has the kick of 3 when you are alone? I love this town because it all reminds me of you. I know you don't like it any more than any other town, but that isn't the point. I mean, you are here as much as I can bear you to be, not being here." Carol wrote, "I never liked Florence. I say this as a prelude. It seems Florence found the note you wrote to me and sold it to Harge, at a price. She is also responsible for Harge's knowing where we, or at least I, were going. I've no doubt. I don't know what I left around the house or what she might have overheard. I thought I was pretty silent, but if Harge took the trouble to bribe her, and I'm sure he did, there's no telling. They picked us up in Chicago anyway. Darling, I had no idea how far this thing had gone. To give you the atmosphere, nobody tells me anything. Things are just suddenly discovered. If anyone is in possession of the facts, it is Harge. I spoke with him on the phone, and he refuses to tell me anything, which of course is calculated to terrorize me into giving all my ground before the fight has even begun. They don't know me, any of them, if they think I will. The fight, of course, is over Rindy. And yes, darling, I'm afraid there will be one, and I can't leave the 24th. That much Harge did tell me when he sprang the letter this morning on the phone. I think the letter may be his strongest weapon. The dictaphone business only went on in Colorado S, so far as I can possibly imagine, hence his letting me know about it. But I can imagine the kind of letter it is, written even before we took off, and there'll be a limit to what even Harge can read into it. Harge is merely threatening, in the peculiar form of silence, hoping I will back out completely as far as Rindy is concerned. I won't. So there will come some kind of a showdown. I hope not in court. Fred is prepared for anything, however. He is wonderful, the only person who talks straight to me, but unfortunately he knows least of all, too. You ask if I miss you. I think of your voice, your hands, and your eyes when you look straight into mine. I remember your courage that I hadn't suspected, and it gives me courage. Will you call me, darling? I don't want to call you if your phone is in the hall. Call me collect around 7 p.m., preferably, which is 6 your time." And Therese was about to call her that day when a telegram came. "Don't telephone for a while. Explain later. All my love, darling, Carol." Mrs. Cooper watched her reading it in the hall. "That from your friend?" she asked. "Yes. Hope nothing's the matter." Mrs. Cooper had a way of peering at people, and Therese lifted her head deliberately. No, she's coming, Therese said. She's been delayed.